Hello there, YouTube. That's my third video. Like a machine. Back home, did fixed my sink, I think. Time for a controversial chat. Smoking my Dagner Devil Ends. With Hobbit's Weed Match from Four Noggins, which I must say I'm loving every bowl. And by the way, for those of you who like to, make a show out of their videos, somehow this thing produces, huge amounts of smoke. So it's very... It looks cool. Anyways, I beg your pardon in advance if I alienate someone talking about this, because I have no part in it whatsoever. But the majority of videos out here are just me rambling and trying to, 9 times out of 10, I'm trying to get something off my chest. And this time it'll be the US gun debate. I can almost hear, universal groan, not this topic again. But the shootings keep happening, and the media is much too happy to cover this, each and every one. So it's sort of, on everybody's mind, especially in the US, because I'm a subscriber to a lot of, Twitter accounts and YouTube and Instagram, and the more shootings happen, the more people are just switching from genuinely horrified and depressed and sad, everything like that, to just plain tired and exhausted. I wouldn't discuss, the whole gun control topic in detail, because I haven't made my mind yet, and I don't know the specifics, and I don't like to judge until I know everything. By everything in this case, I mean all the regulations, and there's such a range, because each state has their own, and so it's very hard, for a foreigner to understand just the sort of a middle ground, what's just the situation, with gun control in the US. I will, however, address one point of rhetoric, because the whole gun control debate is raging and sweeping the nation in the US, and as usual, we only hear the more aggressive participants because they shout louder. So we hear, the complete liberals on one side and the complete, gun fanboys on the other. And I can understand, I think, the majority of the reasons the state for gun control, against gun control. And I'll put it plainly, if I could buy a handgun, I cannot, as per the Russian legislation, I can probably only buy a smoothbore, hunting rifle, something like that. Which isn't very convenient because you must be, a member of the club, you must actually hunt, and I'm not no hunter by any means. If I could buy a handgun, I would have done that. Passed all the necessary tests, the paperwork, etc. I would have done that. Because I agree, and it's hard not to agree with one pro-gun argument that nothing makes you think twice before, say, breaking into someone's house. Nothing makes you think twice more than the prospect of just ending up shot and dead. You cannot argue with that one, in my opinion. All the arguments, do you really need this type of firearm to defend yourself? It all comes second. But one argument one pro-gun argument that really drives me, that really, makes me laugh, is the idea of an armed population opposing the government. That's the, I think, historic argument. One of the reasons of, introducing the Second Amendment in the first place. The population should have the means to oppose the tyranny should their government become, tyrannical. People love to, express that. And it's a very powerful, feel-good argument, definitely. But I really think these guys are just do not recognize the reality or cannot accept it. Second Amendment was introduced in 1791, if I'm correct. What is a firearm in 1791? It's a smooth-bore, muzzle-loaded musket. If I'm not mistaken. Probably I'm mixing up the terms, but you get the idea. It's used universally throughout the US. It's a hunting implement. It's there's a fly. Maybe it's not a fly. No, it's a fly. Never mind. So firearms are used as a hunting tool, as a means of protecting your home. keeps going out. Sorry. And indeed, it can be used as a means of, if the officials or the government or something like that tries to interfere with your life, you can happily take your gun and use it. Because first of all, almost everyone has one. Each household has one. Everyone knows how to use it, and which is even more important because everyone's a hunter or something like that. Which is more important. The playing field is level. You have a gun, your neighbor has a gun. Soldier, basic grunt in the army has virtually the same gun. What else do they have? Artillery, cavalry. That's it, basically. So if we take, a good organized militia, it does stand a fighting chance, even in the pitched battle, just armies lining up against each other on the field. Not to mention the forested areas, the guerrilla warfare, in which the line tactics are useful, the artillery is pretty much useless, the cavalry is useless, So it's, guys against guys, shooting the same smoothbore musket. Fast forward to today. I'm really doing giving a bad rap to this tobacco. It burns okay, it's just my cadence is off. So fast forward to today. Same situation. Your government suddenly says, I'm a tyranny now. I will oppress everyone. You're not taking that from the government. You have, say, a shotgun. Or, okay, an automatic rifle. An assault rifle. Your neighbor has an assault rifle. Everyone in the community has assault rifles. And the basic, private in the army, in the infantry, has an assault gun. And so much more nowadays. Forget all the training, the tactical knowledge that the army possesses as of now, all the development, the advances in just combat using firearms, no line tactics, no more. No one is firing in volleys, People are operating in small firing squads, occupying terrain features, etc., etc. You know what I'm talking about. Even if we forget all that, it's not a level playing field anymore. Because army has artillery, tanks, APCs, helicopters, satellites. I mean, how can you oppose that? And we're not even taking into account all the fun high-tech toys, the drones and the missiles. One thing a tyranny is always eager to do is make an example. So say your town says, secession. We're no longer a part of the US. if it's a real tyranny that, doesn't give a shit about human lives, they just open a big, beautiful, interactive map, like a real-time strategy, push a couple of buttons, and the whole town just evaporates. It ceases to be. One town ceases to be, second one ceases to be. It will, in my opinion, no matter how patriotic and determined you are, when you see that live, say on TV, all the opposition will just fold. So what choice do you have? You either stay where you are and hope that the government is not as tyrannical and it won't kill, your women, children, elderly, etc. Which is kind of a dick move, if you ask me. Or you leave your town, you disperse, you go to the, into the wild, to the mountains, to the forests, and just hope. That the army, which has been, for last decade, has been training to deal with guerrilla fighters. Suddenly forget all their training and all these, miraculous satellites that can count the pimples on your butt when you're taking a shit behind the bush in the forest from orbit. All this tech suddenly ceases to operate. A highly unlikely scenario. I understand why people are just still using this argument, opposing the tyranny. Like I said, it's a very good feel-good argument. But in reality, these people aren't opposing shit. It's a very bitter, pill to swallow. To understand that, it makes my heart turn, just the thought that, if my government wants me dead, I am dead, There's nothing stopping them from, sending some sort of, remote-controlled helicopter and hover just outside the window and pump this kitchen full of lead with me in it, or burn the whole house and claim it was a gas explosion or something like that. So it's a very, very bitter pill to swallow, and which is even more bitter is understanding that just, brandishing a gun and going to the range once in a while, you're not actually doing your part as a citizen, You cannot say, I have a gun, so I will oppose a tyranny. Your job is to prevent the tyranny from taking root. And I think we'll all agree that it's a much harder and less glamorous task. It requires lots of learning, lots of paperwork, elections, elections, filing complaints against, some dickhead who is much more powerful than you are. Swimming against the tide, actually. A gun is a gun. It's a good thing if someone tries to break into your house and threaten your family, but it won't save you from a tyrant. Well, these are my thoughts on the subject. On this one argument, because I keep hearing it and reading it, seeing it on forums, and it just drives me nuts. We shall oppose the tyranny, If you're taking up arms opposing a tyranny, that means you or your other citizens did something very, very wrong. Did it for, you were doing it for a lengthy period of time. Because nowadays, tyrannies just do not happen overnight. They develop over time. Anyways, I'm rambling. I'm pushing 22 minutes already. I beg your pardon again if if me talking about this topic displeases anyone, I don't want to be, poking the sore spot, but just wanted to get this off my chest. Thank you very much for dropping by. I'll be back soon with another video, hopefully. But first I have, a huge pile of comments to read and videos to watch because I'm dreadfully behind. So I'm gonna go do that. In the meantime, have a good weekend and see you people. Goodbye.